What's going on, friends? Welcome back to the Honeystead. My name is Kaylee. If you're new here, do a little bit of everything between beekeeping, herbalism, foraging, all the things. I came out because I wanted to see if I can find some ramps for you. Now, it's a little bit later in the season. This whole area, I've actually helped populate the ramps back in this area, but it doesn't look like there's any of them that I could show you, but that's okay. So I actually started this video a couple of weeks ago and I wanted to come out into the woods to see if I could show you guys some ramps. Now we have a whole bunch of ramps that I've kind of strategically placed here in the woods by taking the bulbs and replanting them just like you would onion or garlic. But that is one of my goals, is to be able to plant a food forest here on my homestead that's not necessarily going to sustain us this very moment. So my plan for this farm is the generational farm. I want the generational homestead. So I want to be able to have food growing throughout this whole area, this whole environment, more of a sustainable ecosystem. You know, I want food that I could go for a walk in and know that it's there. We have a lot of wild edible food all around us. We just have to be able to stop and look. Whether it's edible for something that you can prepare for a meal or something that could be considered medicine, you know, food, forest medicine, something that you could use. It's up to you to be able to educate yourself and bring in the plants if you need to, and just kind of be aware of what's around. I mean, there is such an abundance around, and I did talk about it in many of my videos ago about challenging people to go outside and learn 5 plants, 5 weeds, 5 things that you would bypass. I'm looking at a whole bunch right now. I'm looking at dandelion, which you can use all the parts of a dandelion. You can use the leaves as a salad green. You could use the root. The root itself is packed full of inulin, which is so good for your gut. I'm looking at violet. You can use the flowers and the leaves. I'm looking at cleavers. I have burdock. I mean, there's garlic mustard, which I do need to harvest and actually make some butter with that. It's just up to us to be able to take the time and actually look and see about the plants that are around. You know, I know that a few years ago I put out a video about the fearfulness that people have when it came to going grocery shopping and having empty shelves. If you guys have been following me for a little while, you probably get a sense of my standpoint on a lot of things with, you know, things in life. And it's not necessarily that I am not aware. It's that I choose to just not live in fear. And I choose to take life for what it is. Finding gratitude in every day. Having a positive mindset, finding beauty, being thankful, sharing what I'm grateful for, sharing knowledge, sharing positivity. I don't live in fear. And I also don't necessarily want to be that YouTube channel that plays into that and also feeds that. Wait, come on. I know, I love you too. All right, back to what I'm saying. I'm not that channel that's going to make you scared, make you anxious. I think that society is really good about doing that on its own. I don't think that you come here for that. If you have kind of heard me talk about herbs and actions, adaptogen herbs are amazing. They keep your body at balance. They keep your adrenals at balance. And what happens when we get stressed out? You know, we become sick. So I am not going to do that to you guys. But what I am going to do is share that there's a lot that you can do. And I would rather encourage you to learn how to help yourself than make you feel like you have to go hide. Because our world is way too beautiful to do that, and I don't live in fear. So that being said, I wanted to kind of fill that in because I know that I've heard a lot of talk about things, and we are in the season of spring, and we are in the season of foraging, and there is such an abundance around us for food, for herbal medicine, for gratitude, for beauty, for all of that. It just is up to us to choose to get up, go outside, and see it for ourselves. Back to what we're actually going to talk about today, because I came out here, I was super excited to be able to find some ramps for you guys, but it looks like the ramp season is gone. That is okay. I actually had a really good source of ramps, and I took the bulbs, cut them off, planted them here throughout the forest, and then took the leaves and I headed up to the Apothecary because my plan was to preserve them. There are a lot of different ways that you can actually use ramps. One of them is by creating like a ramp salt. You basically can grind up the leaves and it's like a seasoning. I really want to try some pickled ramps. I think that sounds amazing. And then I was also planning on making a little bit of ramp butter. Now, if I had some fresh leaves, I would probably harvest some now, but I'm gonna try this with some of the dried leaves. But I brought them into the house, I cleaned them, I washed them, I cut the bulb off, and then I figured why not preserve them, because you know, ramps are something that I want to cherish and use as like a delicacy, because a little goes a long way, and boy are they ripe. So I figured it'd be best to bring them to the Apothecary and go ahead and get them loaded up into our Harvest Right freeze dryer. Now there are different ways on preserving ramps. You could air dry them, you could dehydrate them. I chose to freeze dry. The reason why I love my freeze dryer is because it literally keeps it almost as fresh. It preserves all of the minerals, all of the goodness, and I mean, outside of it being dry, it's second to being fresh. I've kept them in a jar for a little while, but I'm gonna head up to the Apothecary because I want to try something that I think sounds really delicious on one of my next meals that I plan on doing here in the next couple weeks. Come on. Let's go up to the Apothecary for a quick minute. There's a lot that you can do with your preserved ramps, but I think the one thing that I kind of want to try is doing a ramp honey. Not for something that I'm going to add in tea, but I think I'm going to infuse some of this ramp, some of these ramps in with the honey, and there's a few things that you can do with it. One, you can kind of turn it into a glaze for your cooking. Once you infuse your ramps in with your honey, then you can add some vinegar and create an oxymel. That oxymel could then be used for like a salad dressing, which is great too. And I don't have a lot of my stuff up here because I went and I took all the dishes and brought them down to the house to clean. So we're gonna make do with what we have, but woo! This is so potent. I'm gonna kind of leave mine a little bit chunky, and my goal is to do, let's see, we're gonna add, I don't have my funnels, I have nothing. All right, so I'm gonna do about that much of my ramps. We'll save these for later. I'm not being wasteful, and I just cleaned the countertop. So, totally fine. Y'all know, if you've been here with me for a little while, I make a mess, and I'm not afraid to show my mess. Now, I normally keep a whole bucket of honey up here, but I have it down at the house.
So I'm just gonna add about, I'm gonna try to get about 8 ounces of honey to a pint-sized jar. You could do quarts if you want, but I kind of want to play around with this, so this might take a little while because it's a little cold up here. You can actually do this with fresh as well. The only thing about mixing your fresh plant matter in with honey, it can be done, but you do need to be mindful because honey likes moisture. Honey will pull that moisture in, but you can do like a fermented ramp honey together. If I had some fresh, I would have made some fresh, but we have some dry, and why not? It's not gonna hurt. You could set this whole thing in a brown paper bag and set it in the window for a couple, you know, about 2 weeks. I might do that. I actually might let this kind of, you know, really just do its thing. If you have a dehydrator, you could use a dehydrator and you can keep your temperature around 95 degrees. Now, there's a lot of controversy with people saying like, oh, if you heat up your honey, then it kills the good properties. Yes, that is true. But honeybees keep their colony around 95 degrees Fahrenheit inside their colony, and the honey is fine. So that's kind of the plan that I would do, is to kind of keep it as natural as possible. If you store it in a cool, dark space, it'll work kind of as well, but I would say warm it by setting it in the sunlight before, if you plan on straining out any type of herb that you're mixing in with your honey. And I'm gonna see if I have a wooden chopstick in here, because that is what I'm gonna use to stir all of this goodness around. And I do. Wooden chopsticks are lovely when you're mixing some stuff. Now this honey is a little bit cold, so it's not gonna be as pretty in the process. If this were fresh, I would be a little bit more mindful about making sure that the honey is mixed all the way in, mainly because of that moisture, again. And then this is definitely going to be stored somewhere kind of warm. Oh yeah. This smells really, really good. I am very excited about using this as a marinade, and then absolutely excited about trying it in a with a little bit of apple cider vinegar to make an oxymel. I'll make a small one before, just to taste it, because the ramps are very strong. But oh yeah, I might add, I'm gonna get a little bit more honey. What's left I'll bring down to the house, and we would, I'm going to 100% enjoy it down at the house, because yes. Okay, all right. That is beautiful. Now, there are other techniques on warming your herb infused honey. Just again, be very mindful about the temperature. The reason why is because, you know, I look at honey as more than just a sweetener. I look at honey as all of the medicinal properties that it offers, because it is amazing. And if you guys are interested, I started writing for Homestead Living magazine, and I've been doing a couple articles in there. I'll put some information down below. I've really enjoyed that magazine a good bit. In all honesty, it's probably one of my favorite homesteading magazines out there, not because I write in it, but because I know the authors, a lot of the other authors, and they're really, really awesome. But I'm hoping to be taking you guys along with me more when life gets less crazy. And I can kind of show some of the other fun things that I have been doing here on the homestead, especially with the honey. Isn't that pretty? That's gonna be really good. That's gonna be really, really good. So I'm gonna let this sit for a couple weeks, and then we're gonna be making it into a marinade, and as well as an oxymel. I like the oxymels because you can then add it, you could actually use the oxymels as a marinade, but you can also use it as a salad dressing. So we are definitely going to be playing around with a few recipes. Now, if you guys are interested in a harvest rate, I do have an affiliate link that I'll put down below. I'm actually getting ready to bring all of my trays back up here because we just picked a good bit of strawberries, and I need to plan on getting them thrown in there and preserving, because that is my other snack and my go-to treat that I like to munch on instead of candy. So yeah, as always, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and learn something old. Bye guys. I almost forgot a very important step. So every day when you're doing your herb infused honey, what you're gonna do is you are going to take it and flip it over every single day. See, you can't really shake your honey, your herb infused honey, but you can do that. You just, every day, just let it all mix together. But also, if you hear in the background, I have a lot of baby chicks hatching. I don't know how many, but I filled 3 incubators. And they're all hatching right now. So that'll be an update in a following video. So yeah, don't forget, shake your honey.